Hello, everybody, and happy Monday. Welcome to this edition of the Racing Insiders podcast. I'm Kate Dillon from Crate Insider, and here today with Steve Hendren from Hendren Racing Engines. And I thought that a lot of times we get some new viewers watching. So I thought I might just explain really quick what it is that we do when we are not podcasting, in case some people are new here. So if you're new here, I run CrateInsider.com, where I sell race car parts, and you build racing engines, mostly crates though.
Crate engines. We used to do a lot of open motor stuff, but back in the day, my dad kind of saw the way racing was going, which is a more economical deal for people to afford to go racing the kind of cars we primarily like to race, which is dirt late models. So.
Yeah. And you've been doing this for a long time, and you were a certified engine rebuilder for, tell me which seals you're approved for.
Currently, we deal with Crate USA, we deal with Rush, and we deal with the Mideast 604 late models and modifieds.
Oh, cool. So that's a new addition.
It's not new. I mean, we've been that, but and I would expect to see that take off a little bit more as far as, what they're doing, I think, around here is pretty good. So,
yeah, I think they're doing a great job. That would be Jason Walls.
Yeah.
And I know, I've known Jason for a long time, but several years, but also they're one of the exhibitors at our racing trade show. So actually that's another thing I do is the Cars Racing Show. Yep. The Cars Racing Show in Hickory, North Carolina. And our next one is going to be January 5th and 6th. And so my brother and I actually team up to head up that project. So we're pretty excited about going into 2023 with that.
Well, I enjoy it because it's primarily short track racing. Nothing against PRI. I've been there plenty of times, but I don't want to go through all the shit to see the stuff I want. So
yeah, exactly. Okay. All right. So we got some folks here. And if you guys, if you're here with us live, feel free to drop in any questions you have, whether it's a tech question. And that's really what we do here on this podcast is
primarily we talk about bullshit too. So
we totally do. I'm going to say hi to some folks. And
go for it.
I see Scott is here. He says, hi from California, where we got to sneak out of work early to catch your broadcast. Yeah, we changed the time. I apologize. Yes. Yeah, sorry. Yes. And Gerald Farms is here from South Carolina, and they said, hope to make it next January to the Cars.
Yeah, you need to, honestly, because it's a really damn good show. Because, the thing I like about it is you get to actually talk to people. To manufacturers, manufacturers,
and other drivers too,
whatever. But manufacturers. If you're going there to talk to somebody about something, if you're going to PRI to talk to somebody about anything, that's
you better be quick.
Yeah, you better be quick because there's 20 people standing in line behind you.
Yeah.
This show, there's maybe 2 or 3 standing behind you, but you get to actually have a conversation and then listen to other people's conversations, and I think it's a really good deal.
Yeah, and so
it's a regional show is what it
is. Yes, it's a regional show, a lot for the dirt market, and we're trying to expand into the asphalt market as well. So we have a few manufacturers that are there for asphalt. So if you've got some friends, I know that jokes go back and forth between, the dirt is for racing and asphalt is for getting there, and there's all these jokes that go back and forth. But at the end of the day, we're all in this together. Racing is racing.
And right now we need all the racing we can get because the economy's turning into a total shit show. So
yeah, I've just stopped. I've stopped watching really the news.
Well, you don't even have to watch the news. Just you feel it at the pump. You don't have to watch the fucking news. You can go to the gas station and see what shit's costing.
You're absolutely
go buy a Hoosier late model tire right now and see what it's costing.
Yeah, there are a couple of things. I never did become a tire dealer, and I was a sort of a fuel dealer for a while, but that became far more cumbersome. And then with the new location, I don't have a forklift there, so can't do it. But I'm so glad I'm not a fuel dealer. I'm so glad I'm not a tire dealer, honestly. Yeah, I'd rather do stuff.
Yep.
Oh yeah, Robert's here. He says, talk about bullshit. Gas just hit $5.29 here in Indiana.
Holy shit.
Walking with Biden.
Dude, I was bitching the other day because I got to run premium in my car.
Mm-hmm.
And Friday I filled up, it was $5.19 a gallon for premium. And I was like, I don't know. I was pissed. But at the same time, I'm going, I can fill up at $5.19 a gallon. Average Biden voter, probably not so much. So
yeah, it's kind of like one thing that I say all the time. It's because new projects come my way, and it's if I say yes to one thing, I'm saying no to something else.
Right.
And when it comes to these gas prices, if people have a very strict budget, if they're saying yes to putting that money towards their gas tank, because you need to just to get to work and all of that.
Yeah.
A lot of people are forced to say no to something else. Mm-hmm. And that's going to be a problem. It's already is a problem, but that just sucks. Oh my gosh.
Well, the people I feel sorry.
Scott's here. Gas was $6.99 at Chevron regular self-serve this morning.
I believe it.
California. And
the people I do feel sorry for are the people who legitimately need government assistance.
Yeah.
Like the legitimate ones.
Mm-hmm.
I do feel sorry for them. They're taking it in the shorts bad right now.
Well, Social Security, older generation.
Older generation.
Mm-hmm.
And again, people who are legitimately on disability or need, government assistance of some sort just due to circumstances.
Yeah.
I don't feel sorry for the average asshole who can go out and work and chooses to sit at home and draws unemployment tax. So
there's that.
Or his welfare check or whatever.
Yeah, and Tom says it's $6.75 for premium where he's at in California.
Yeah, that's
fucked. We've got a couple of, and speaking of that, Chuck says, F the demo rats.
Exactly. I agree.
I see Gerald Farm says, Friendship had a great turnout on Saturday night, and Fayetteville had a good show yesterday.
Awesome.
Oh, that's great. So Fayetteville's running on Sundays. That's right. I knew that.
Or was it a special show or?
I'm not sure, but I knew there was a race on Sunday because I had a customer who needed to send somebody by to pick up some fuel pumps on Friday.
I haven't raced
for Sunday.
Last time I raced at Fayetteville, I was running Carolina Clash. But I've heard they changed the track and all that. Is it a better track now than what it used to be, or? Yeah,
well, our friend Brandon, who lives there in Fayetteville, he
not
said
Joe Biden, but Brandon.
No, the good Brandon, Brandon. Like a legit Brandon, not a bad one. I remember seeing. So it's David Mitchell that took over the Fayetteville Speedway, and I know that they did a ton of work. I mean, there's just so many pictures and videos and such of when they brought the excavators out there.
Oh, cool.
And I know Brandon, when I talked to him about it, maybe, several months ago, he felt that there'd been an improvement. But, I think this is when we ask racers for their opinions on a racetrack. I don't know that you're going to get one.
Well, it's always a shit show. No,
I mean, it's like asking you about whether shortening gaffing was a good idea.
Yeah, well, of course I'm going to say no, but.
There's plenty of other people that say yes. So, So it's hard to say, but I know they've worked really hard at that. Oh my goodness. A lot of challenges right here. Doug says it's cost too much to go to work.
Yeah.
Gerald Farms, diesel and fertilizer is killing our farm.
It's got to be the fertilizer deal that's going to be like that's worldwide. I mean, it's going to create starvation in countries that we haven't seen since the Ethiopian famine of whenever the hell it was back in the late 80s or whatever.
Now Doug's on to a good idea because he said it costs too much to go to work. I think I'll just drink beer.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah. I'd be all in on that deal.
And I do have I know there's a tech question here from Scott. I will come back to it. And I see Dave says, what about Eldora coming up? Yeah. I mean, that's just this weekend, isn't it?
It's not the weekend. It's Wednesday and Thursday.
Oh, okay.
It's like a weird day.
I think Eldora always puts on a good show.
I read a little bit of a thing today where like somebody was like hypothesizing that, hey, the streaming on Wednesday and Thursday, they're probably going to make a bank on like streaming that million.
Oh yeah.
race,
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure. And Alan agrees with Dave or Doug that, think I'll just drink beer.
Yeah.
I think you're in that camp as well. So what are you drinking today?
Just basic pitch ultra.
I'm drinking water. So I'm even more basic.
Well, I mean, that's beer flavored water, but
yeah, that's the truth. That's the truth. All right. So
I got to keep my fat figure.
Hey, you do you, buddy.
The more of this I drank, the more food I can eat.
Oh, okay.
Well, I mean, it's only 3 carbs.
Okay.
Or 2.5 carbs, something like that.
And how many carbs are in a piece of bread?
I don't care to tell that.
I just don't know the answer.
Yeah,
it was actually
more
than
in this beer. I'll put it that way.
Oh, okay. I'm just
like
wondering,
like a tortilla. Since I eat Mexican food all the time, like just a flour tortilla is like 30 carbs.
Oh, wow! So you could have 10 beers for every one tortilla.
Correct.
Yeah, in my other places. So, and when I'm at the office or like upstairs or wherever, I can usually ask Alexa questions, but she's not down here, so I can't ask her how many.
No. You can also ask Tori questions.
I can. Yeah. Tori has amazing answers. All right, we have a question here for you, Steve. Scott says, what are some tips on getting better hole shots coming out of a turn? And are carbon fiber drive shafts worth it?
I would not race a car without a carbon fiber shaft. Number one, because I've had my knee beat the shit out of with a non-carbon fiber shaft before. So yeah, I would not ever race. And I've literally I was racing that Carolina. Matter of fact, I won it at 311 Speedway in Madison, North Carolina, when Jeremy Clements about got his freaking hand ripped off by a steel shaft. So no, there's no way I would run a car without carbon fiber shaft. As far as like hole shot, I assume you're talking about starts, restarts. It's always a combination of working the gas and the brake, honestly. And, just having a carburetor that will actually take off.
Good to know. Back to the carbon fiber drive shafts. Which I'm a dealer for fast shafts, by the way. I don't keep them in stock because they come in all the different sizes and stuff. But I do remember that last time that you still had an aluminum, I think it was an aluminum drive shaft.
Yeah, I had an aluminum one. Yeah.
And besides the fact that you got a little bit banged up, I mean, you didn't have any serious injuries.
No, it was nothing serious. It just knocked the freaking shit out of my damn knee, like through the drive shaft loop.
Well,
and tore the hell out of the damn race car.
Well, that was where I was going to go next, is because of all the carnage that it caused. Because then you had to replace the bell housing. I mean, there was
rip the bell housing out of the car. I mean, just
mean, it was full on carnage, and you were not going to be able to race again without. This might be whatever the drive shaft cost is, but all that other stuff you had to replace was significantly expensive, and it became
way more than running a carbon fiber shaft and like breaking one of those.
Right.
Which
because those will just shred.
Yeah, they explode. So it saves the driver. And of course, at that time, and it's especially true when you're like running a ball spline. So we had the ball spline. So, I mean, if that shaft breaks, that thing's whipping around until you stop, basically. What it comes down to, which is what happened to me with the aluminum shaft. And it, again, ripped the bell housing in half, broke the ears off transmission. All sorts of crazy
I knew
shit.
there was something with the transmission for sure.
It ruined everything.
Yeah. I just like the word carnage. I don't like carnage to happen, but I like the word. It's just like a word. Yeah, absolutely. All right. Oh, here's a good question. Speaking of events, Tom asks, do you have the dates for your dad's memorial race this year?
Yeah, I do. Let me look.
Okay.
Actually.
So we'll do a little announcement here. And this is is it the same place?
It'll be in Pittsburgh, yes.
Okay. So this race is the Bill Hendren Memorial Race. It's with the Rush Racing Series at PPMS, which is Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania's Motor Speedway, right outside of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
It will be October 7th and 8th.
October 7th and 8th.
Yep.
Great. And that's right around your birthday.
Yeah, birthday's on a Sunday. Yeah, Sunday 9th. We'll be driving home from there.
Yay. Yay.
Which is usually how that works. Last year was actually on my birthday, but this year, we'll be driving home from there.
That's true. And William Glass is here. Hello, y'all. Hello to you, William. And Alan says carbon shafts should be legal in every class.
Oh, absolutely.
Totally
I mean,
agree.
And I know they're not, which is sad because I know there's some street stock classes and four banger classes, stuff like that, where they're not legal, and they should be.
And I think that just because that is a
if everybody's all super concerned about safety, so they want you to drive a street stock with a full containment seat, but you can run a steel drive shaft.
Well, but if you get, I would have a guess on how that happens, but those are like $500 and you can buy an aluminum one for $200. I thought this was supposed to be a budget class. I'm sure that's what some of the pushback is.
Racers do shoot themselves in the foot a lot of times when it comes to basic stuff that should be legal that's not. So,
well, and also with safety. I mean, because the truth is, most of you guys couldn't get behind the wheel if you really took into consideration all of the risks that you're taking.
No, exactly.
If you really thought for a second that you could be permanently injured or die, you have to be Superman to get out there.
It's simple things like when I was racing NASCAR stuff on the West Coast, born and raised out there, and running dirt track on the West Coast, NASCAR sanctioned, at no time did we not have a mandatory fire extinguisher system in the car.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you had to have it in order to race.
And that would have been fire suppression systems.
I tripped balls when I moved here and no one had one. I was like probably the only dude that had one.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, within the last 5 years, now it's mandatory.
It's a little bit longer than that, but
6 years, whatever.
Like
I mean, it's somewhere in that range. Now it's mandatory.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden, and we're talking like, I got good friends of mine running at the highest level of dirt racing, Lucas Oil, World Outlaws, never ran with a fire extinguisher.
Well, and it blew my mind too.
It's blown my mind. I mean, when I first moved here, like just the local racetracks around here, you had guys racing in Levi jeans with a fire suit top.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, for as much advancement as there is in the East, as far as technology, as far as race cars and engines and everything to do with it, they were lagging behind literally like, God, I want to say 15, 20 years in safety.
Well, in the 70s, my dad always had a fire extinguisher in his race car, and we were in Iowa.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's why.
Now, so be it. It would have been one you had to pull out and like put the fire out yourself.
Like a legit fire extinguisher, because fire suppression systems weren't really invented till later on. So I just thought it was something that everybody had.
Right.
Until I found out it wasn't. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you can go back in the day and look at, look at Formula One. The most technologically advanced racing in all the world for basically all time, honestly. And, look at watch that movie about Niki Lauda and watch where he gets burned up because no onboard fire suppression in Formula One. I mean, this is back in the 70s, but, you know, hell, your dad in the 70s at least had a little fire extinguisher.
Yeah, absolutely. Sure did. All right, here's a really good question, and it's one that I sort of know parts of the answers to. So Josh asks, he says, why have many crate series outlawed methanol? We used to be allowed to run it in Kentucky, but now every other track has banned it. It's a pain switching back and forth weekly, and methanol seems to be the cheapest option. Would you like me to take this one on?
Yeah, I mean, you may have a different opinion than me, but go ahead.
Well, I knew years and years ago, like when I first started Crate Insider, that Steve always talked about how methanol was great. And I ended up talking to a couple of different series and even went to a rules meeting. So I asked one tech director why they didn't run methanol. And because there's always this big thing about teching the fuel and making sure what's in it and all there's all this drama. And I was like, well, what if you ran methanol? It'd be easy to tech. Well, you wouldn't need to tech it because if you could run methanol, nobody would want to run anything else. And at the rules meeting, I was told by the person there, the promoter, they said, well, can you even run methanol in a 9-to-1 compression engine? I mean, that was like full on, like, I'm a girl and wouldn't know the difference. And I was like, well, yeah. Everywhere west of the Mississippi, they already do. So it's fine. And the problem there was they couldn't switch because otherwise they're surrounded by these other series. And then guys would have to switch back and forth, which they wouldn't do. And you could lose cars. But then I asked the tech director of another series, and he's not even with them anymore. And I was like, well, why don't you guys allow methanol? And his answer was, well, because you can't see the flame during the day. So, I mean, I don't know who races during the day, but
well,
those were the two answers that I got from two different series.
So methanol, when it burns during the day, I mean, get some white liquor, light it on fire on your, just put it on the damn table, light it on fire during the middle of the day. You can barely see some blue flame like burning. So a lot of the theory behind that is, oh, well, you can't see it burn, meaning methanol. Yeah. You can't see it burn. Well, yes, you can, because we're talking about a race car. So if it's burning with something. So whatever it's burning with is going to be putting off black smoke. Well, so it's burning. Yeah. Right.
But also, what do we have, like 3-day races?
Maybe. Yeah. Maybe 3-day races. I mean, around here, there could be more.
Yeah, in other places. I mean,
but at night or in the dusk or whatever, it burns identically to gasoline. Mm-hmm. So you're going to see it burn. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm getting at. But that's it was a big safety concern.
Yeah, and I guess does it burn hotter than the other?
No, it burns actually methanol. Well, the same with gasoline to an extent, but methanol, you can literally get a pan of methanol and take a match and put it right at the methanol, and it will not light on fire. So that's why methanol produces torque. It's because it's an extremely slow burning fuel. Oh. So very, very similar properties to E80 or E85, for instance.
Well, yeah.
Or ethanol. We'll just say ethanol.
Well, one's made from corn and one's made from wood, right?
E80, yeah, correct. E85 has actually got, gasoline in it. Yes. So it will light easier than methanol.
Yeah. I think I saw.
So methanol is extremely difficult to get to light. Having come from California, having raced on methanol until I moved to North Carolina, I can tell you that we've had fuel cells get busted back in the day and dump 30-something gallons of methanol on a racetrack, and it didn't ignite.
Right. They
literally had to try really hard to light this shit on fire to burn it off the racetrack. So, there was no other accident beyond that.
Yeah, I remember seeing a Mythbusters one time where they were trying to say, hey, in these movie scenes where people, pour the gasoline or there's a flame or whatever, and they just throw a lighter behind them, and will it go whoop? But it won't.
If it was up to me, everybody would be on methanol right now.
Yeah, and it burns cleaner, gives you more power.
But that's the whole funny thing. But
it can cause some massive corrosion. You have to definitely.
You got to be on top of your methanol deal. And when you're racing with that stuff, it's a little bit more touchy. Not so much with a 9.5-to-1 motor, but when you get up there in compression ratio, which methanol motors, and we were running 15.5, 16-to-1. But a crate motor or something like that, it's not as critical. But fuel supplies everything with methanol because you can burn one down in a heartbeat.
Yeah. All right, we got a new question here. Roy is here. He says, crazy question, and it's probably been asked before, but when gearing a 604, what RPM range would you suggest on a really, really, really dry, slick track? RPM range is, I don't think you care what kind of track it's on, do you?
No, obviously, I always recommend 6,800 max is what you're going to be turning, but
on a 604.
It just depends. God, there's super, super slick tracks, super, super slick, where you can't even touch the throttle. Then when I was racing on that shit, I'm pulling gear out, which is probably the opposite of what it could be on a track where it's really short, super slick, but you're off the gas for so damn long, you actually need gear to actually get the thing to move again. So you could be adding gear to it. There's two different theories on that, and honestly, it depends on several different things. I'm more having raced, all my life. I'm more inclined to go with where the position is of the throttle.
Okay.
Linkage on the carburetor versus the pedal.
Oh, that's interesting.
You can slow the throttle down to where you can actually add gear to the car and still not be blowing the tires off of it, because it takes such a long throw with your right foot, where
so basically decreasing the sensitivity.
You're decreasing the sensitivity of the pedal. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, you can make the throw really, really long by moving it down on the shaft on the pedal.
Okay.
So that was one of my main tuning things back when I raced, was where I would put that position. I mean, the carburetor always had it in the upper linkage, but like on the, because that's honestly the slowest spot. But like if you move it down on the pedal, I mean, you can have it like the ratio like that,
like a foot away. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, no, I mean like,
Oh,
6, 7, 8 inches difference.
Okay.
And you got to move that pedal forever to get full throttle.
Okay. Gotcha.
Right. Or you can move it up and you can be 1-to-1 and like you touch the gas and it's opening the throttle. So.
Right. No, that's a great tip. I don't think that's something that, I mean, I don't think this is not something we've actually covered before.
No, I'd be more inclined to like mess around with like where the linkage is located. And again, the lower it is on the pedal, the slower the throttle opens, the more throw you have to have with your foot.
Gotcha.
That's really good, by the way, for younger drivers who are pretty much stab the gas and go.
Yeah.
So that helps them a lot, being able to control, stab the gas. Oh, wait, shit. No, it's not full throttle yet. Now I got to think for a second and go further,
I think I've had cars like that, but I even more so, I think I've had cars with brakes that are like that.
Yeah, there's that.
Like, jam it down and pray.
Right.
Please be brakes. Please have brakes. All right, Dave is here. Dave Hammond from Hammond Motorsports.
Yep.
And back
What's
to
up,
safety.
Mr. Dave?
He says, no gloves kills me. He's like, that was big in North Carolina.
Dude, me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I never got that. I've raced with no gloves before, back years and years and years ago, but it was like maybe a couple times.
Right.
Because it was like, 120 degrees out.
Yeah.
I'm like, ooh, I need cooler hands.
And Dave is like, is it a fire extinguisher or a fire suppression system? Yeah, like when we were talking about fire extinguishers, we're really meaning like late 70s, early 80s, because fire suppression didn't exist back then. But yes, today, fire suppression systems all the way.
Fire suppression existed about 85. It'd be the first time I ever heard of it. And I started racing in 87, and I had a fire suppression system in my car in 87.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it's been several years since I read that white paper, but Harry Gant was really the first one that was kind of as far as a famous driver that was either running it or maybe he got on fire and it saved his life, one or the other. But
I don't know.
Back then they were using halon.
Yeah, halon's what we use, which will kill you. And so, they were halon systems. Yeah.
Yeah, but then of course halon is a greenhouse gas. So now I'm a fire bottle dealer, and it uses a DuPont chemical that's proprietary.
We've come a long way.
Yeah, they're amazing systems.
So the problem with halon is if it gets in your lungs, it like sinks to the bottom of your lungs, and you can't like get the shit out. Basically.
Yeah, and well, one thing I learned about the fire suppression system, or just running a fire suppression system, is and being able to breathe, that it takes a fire 5 times more oxygen than it takes for you to breathe. So by having this gas in there, you're still going to be able to breathe. I mean, get the hell out, but you'll still be able to breathe and yet be able to put out the fire.
I was racing in Australia back in 92. And so the cars we were racing are, dirt late models. There's like their version of super late models. But we had like fiberglass bodies on the car. And of course it's right-hand drive, but we're still turning left. So the exhaust exited out what would be our driver's side, so the left side of the car. Yeah. And we were running this place called Mildura, New South Wales. And we were pitted in the infield, and they had like tall dead grass basically in the infield. And I pulled in off the track after a heat race, I think, because that's where we were pitted. It was in that infield. It was only the cars that were the test match. So it was only like us 4 Americans, the other 4 Aussies.
Okay.
I pull in off the track, and we're running methanol, and this shit's just freaking dumping flame out the exhaust. Well, I pull in, I stop, unfortunately, next to this pile of grass, and it lights the grass on fire, which in turn lights the fiberglass body on fire. So I'm like looking over, and like there's flames like burning straight up the damn side of the car. And I'm like, okay, no big deal. The body's on fire because it's fiberglass, and I done lit the damn infield on fire. here comes this dude, and I'm looking through there, and here comes this dude running at me, trying to pull the pin on a freaking fire extinguisher.
Mm-hmm.
As he's running at me, and I'm going, oh, fuck, no. Now, I got an onboard system.
Okay.
Right?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Because I brought my own.
Right. Okay.
I'm not worried about this shit. This motherfucker, he's freaked out because I'm on fire.
Right.
He comes running across the freaking infield. He's pulling the pin on this fire extinguisher, and he goes
right in your face, right?
Right at me, and sprays me straight in the freaking face with powder.
Oh,
so
powder.
It was the powder shit.
Okay.
Worst thing ever.
Mm-hmm.
Just saying.
Okay, I believe you.
Yeah. Neglected to put the fire out.
Oh, okay. Well, you see, saving.
But I got sprayed. So as soon as I get sprayed, I got the thing in gear, and I'm driving forward out of where the fire area was.
Yeah.
And of course, the fire went out.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I was not happy.
Oh, I'll bet you were not.
So for about 2 days, all I smelled was dry powder, fucking fire extinguisher bullshit.
Yeah. And
which I'll probably die of lung cancer, not from cigarettes, but because of that one fucking thing.
I'm sure that there's no other risk factors like working in a machine shop for 50 years or 40 years.
Probably not.
There are no other risk factors.
Right.
And okay. And then back to that RPM question on the dry slick track. He says, what RPM range should you be looking for with low end RPM to high end RPM?
Well, I mean the actual torque band. I mean, if you're, see, we're talking torque. So like peak torque on a 604 is generally around 5,800 RPM.
Okay.
Usually between about 48 to 58. So 1,000 RPM range.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So as far as like coming off the corner, if you're in that band, that's going to be your peak torque. So do you want to be in peak torque? I mean, is it so slick that you want to be below that as you're coming off the corner and not get to that until you're halfway down the straightaway? That's going to be your question.
It's a good one.
It's not a good answer to your question, but I'm just saying that's just kind of how it works. Now, that being said, me personally, I've raced in some slick ass shit. I've never ran across a circumstance where I can't hook up a 604.
Okay.
Now, I know there's places around. There's like Sonoa and stuff like that down in Georgia where, I've got guys that are like detuning shit to actually hook up. So I know that exists. I got guys in Nebraska and everywhere else doing that. So I know that exists. I've just personally never ran in that kind of that condition.
Good deal. And then we're on the methanol topic. And Josh mentions that these same tracks allow, when sprint cars are there, seem to me it's a lack of knowledge with the tracks.
Oh, it absolutely is.
Yeah, I would agree.
And then there's the other thing where like, some tracks have fuel deals. So, they're making X amount of money off their race gas that they're selling at the track.
Well, and it can also be too, if you're in an area with multiple different series and you're the odd man out that's going to allow methanol and nobody else does,
correct,
then you really single yourself out and limit the ability to get more cars.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to have a big show or something.
It really ends up being a peer pressure thing. And I hear Alan says, hey, make methanol great again. I
agree.
Yeah,
100%. I mean, methanol, everything should be running on methanol race wise to me personally.
Well, and it would also help.
Now you might have to have fuel stops in the middle of races.
Right. Because it uses 2.2
2.2 times the volume of liquid is what you have to flow.
Or bigger fuel tanks. You could also use bigger fuel tanks, couldn't you?
Well, I mean, back in the day when we were doing this shit, we were running 30-gallon cells.
You know who has 30-gallon fuel cells right now?
Who?
This girl.
How the hell do you have 30-gallon fuel cells?
Well, because that was what was recommended.
Oh, okay.
But then I find out after I have 4 or 5 of these that 22 gallons is pretty much what people are running.
Well, yeah, race gas. I mean, I could see 26 or 28 on, E85 or something.
Hey, it's the advice I got. So that's what I got. But if you want a screaming deal on a 30-gallon fuel cell, I know a girl. This right here.
If you got methanol.
You need methanol? I got a 30-gallon fuel tank.
You got methanol.
No, they're awesome fuel tanks.
If you got methanol or one of RE85 carburetors, you might actually need that 30 gallons.
Well, I mean, they're superior fuel cells. They're amazing fuel cells. Yeah. They're just huge. I mean, they're huge in my shop. Like they're
Right.
taking up a lot of room. So I'd like to find new homes for them.
Which are great fuel cells. Well.
They really are. So
So
this
we got
isn't just
Alex's
like
car.
some, bargain basement thing.
What's in Alex's? Like 26?
I don't know. He
think-
might be a 22. I'm not sure. You'd have to ask Alex.
I think it's a bigger one.
Is it? Okay.
I think it's 26.
But it's not a 30.
No, I mean, we normally only run like 15 gallons in it.
Yeah. All right. Now Jeff has a really good question here. He says, because we had a lot of questions about E85 and you've gotten you've done a lot of testing with that. And Jeff says, hey, Steve and Kate, have you ever back-to-back run the X85 from which would be VP fuels for anybody who's new here to the pump E85? Wondering how much difference you see.
Yeah, we have. I mean, if it's good pump E85, you're going to see a difference. It's probably going to be nominal. In other words, not the difference between winning and losing a race, as far as power wise goes. But what we've noticed is the pump E85 is so inconsistent because it's in the ground, right?
Yep.
You have condensation in the ground, and you're going to have a higher level
Silt.
of water content and, silt, shit like that. But to me, it's the water content level that you're going to see in that, pump E85 that is going to be the determining factor on whether you're actually producing power or not. And the consistency of the fuel. So I'm more concerned about the consistency of the fuel. So if you're gonna buy it out of a pump, it needs to be tested every time you buy it out of the pump. If it's got a variation, what are you gonna do? You got to go race that night, right? So what are you gonna do? Now all of a sudden you're like juggling. Oh, I got to put some gas in it, or I got to, how do I, now I got to find some straight ethanol. I mean, it just depends on where it's at in the spectrum. So the one thing that I recommend is everybody buy it from a fuel manufacturer, buy a 55-gallon drum and run that, because that drum is going to be dead nuts on.
And that drum, you can set up your carburetor with that drum and you get that consistency.
Correct.
Because there's just nothing that is, there's a lot of bad things, that obviously crashing, all that other stuff, but it'll really ruin your night to have to dink around with the damn carburetor all freaking night
sure.
just to get it to leave the pit stall.
E85, like the difference between, let's say, E83 and E87 is going to be negligible. But if you get beyond that, it starts changing exponentially as far as like carburetor settings and how the thing runs and stuff like that.
Well, and here's actually,
and again, water content is like a big thing for me.
Well, this is a great question here. So Jeff says, what is E85 and how does it compare to typical gas?
All right. E85 is going to be ethanol. So it's 85% ethanol with 15% gas.
Yeah, and it's kind of illegal to have, like, E100 exists, so like 1%, 100% ethanol, but unfortunately people would drink it and die. Like, this is Prohibition days stuff, so that's why.
Yeah, so ethanol is made with corn, whereas methanol is made with wood. And honestly, they're only like one molecule apart. Yeah, or two molecules apart, something like that. I mean, it's like
really close.
They're extremely close.
Yeah,
but ethanol is basically, you can drink it.
Yeah, it's like corn liquor,
so that's
moonshine.
Alcohol. It's whiskey, it's vodka, it's everything else. So it's liquor. Yeah. But it's got very close properties to methanol. So in other words, like it will cool an engine, for instance.
And that's one of the biggest reasons why my methanol makes power, is because it runs so much cooler than gas, right?
It's not the reason it makes power, but I mean, that is one side effect of running methanol, is yes, it does cool the engine.
Okay. I mean, it's always learning.
You can, God, I race against my friend Bobby Hogue out in California. Hell, he'd qualify half the time with like no fan on the car. Hell, I think he's even run main events with no fan on the car.
Well, and here's a great question. Tommy says, what fuel PSI should I have for E85?
Generally on our stuff, we run 9 pounds.
Right. And when it comes to a fuel pump, this is a question I got last week. And some people are saying you could run an 11 PSI pump versus where like, I don't even sell the 11 PSIs, but we sell the 15 PSI because the 11 isn't quite enough to get you down to that 9 PSI.
Well, if you're running a bypass system now.
Right. If you're
so,
bypass.
I mean, you can technically run the 11 with a deadhead regulator and get it down to 9, but I don't recommend that. I always recommend a bypass system.
Mm-hmm.
So that 15, we want to take it from 15 down to 9. And then we're bypassing the excess fuel back to the tank.
Yeah. So anybody who hasn't seen one of those systems, the bypass regulator.
Beer, by the way. So
okay. Bypass regulator, it goes onto your fuel log. We've got them at Crate Insider. In fact, I just got a shipment. I mean, anybody who's in 2022, you know how it can be difficult to get stuff, and been really trying to be on top of things. So I just got a shipment of, I have tandem pumps, I have bypass regulators, I have bypass regulator kits. But what it does is when you have I like how Willie's description is, if you're not running a bypass regulator, your fuel pump becomes a fuel heater.
Correct.
Because then your fuel is just sitting in those lines right there next to your engine, and it's heating up before it even gets there.
Correct.
But what we can do with the bypass regulator is we can take that extra fuel that you're not using and bring it back to the fuel tank, because when you've got even 10 gallons in there, that 10 gallons is going to be at room temperature rather than just burning up next to your engine.
So yeah, cold fuel makes power.
Right. Yes, that would be the whole point of how to make the fuel cooler. And Roy, on that RPM issue, he says, great tip. Yes, on pulling gear out, super slick, steady, spinning, and just touching the throttle.
Yeah, so I would be like messing with the throttle linkage.
Mm-hmm.
At that point, that's my advice. Because I'm telling you, like, tuning with the throttle linkage is kind of like the poor man's traction control.
Oh, gotcha. Looks like Trina's got a story here. She's a frequent viewer of our show, so I haven't even read this yet, but I'm looking forward to it. She says, ironically, just as your show started last week with your special guest, I got interrupted by a 20-year-old solar panel salesman. The conversation turned political very quickly, including a lot of current events. He assured me that I can save money converting to solar and getting rid of my vehicles and purchase electric. I assured him he was playing video games during the last recession. Then I asked him what he thinks about September 11th. Nothing was his reply. So I think we're going to assume that Trina did not get solar panels installed.
Probably did not buy solar panels.
Well, welcome, Trina. It's always great to have you here. You've got
you saw what Dipshit did today, right?
No, I didn't. I mean, that's what I'm saying. What was the today?
So President Brandon issued the whatever it is, like emergency fucking declaration, basically, whatever, to create more solar panels. So never mind that there's no baby formula. Never mind that gas prices are fucking everyone in the entire country. We need more solar panels.
Okay. All right. So that's lovely. I have so many responses to this.
I know you do. We don't need to even get involved in it. I'm just telling you what he did.
No, it's just absolutely idiocy. Because I have found I have a new observation about the world and my life, and I have found that most world problems are caused by people who cannot do math or refuse to, and most of my problems that I encounter personally are because people can't or don't read, or details.
Right.
So, okay. I mean, that's lovely. We want to sign an executive order, but like,
it's not an executive order. He instituted the national emergency.
The emergency is
essentially like wartime act.
Well, not only that, I mean, one of the biggest problems is the fact that you do not necessarily have net metering in all the states. So there's in some states you can have solar panels. And if your electricity turns backwards, like if you had enough solar panels, then the power company would have to pay you. And not every state has that.
Right.
In fact, I guess here, and in some states, we have a friend, I don't know all of the facts on this, but in some states, you absolutely are mandated to like be connected to the grid. Even if you've got solar panels, you can't go off grid. So it's really, there's a lot of details that are not universal here. That is not going to solve our problems.
That was Brandon's thing for today.
I would challenge Brandon to discuss with anyone or figure out how much what's embodied energy, how much fossil fuels are used in order to produce these.
He cannot even complete a sentence How is he going to challenge anyone or ask anyone anything? He is a puppet being controlled by someone, and that's it. So
yeah, with about a third grade knowledge of anything, of any topic,
especially
with
guns.
No depth. I mean, we are a mile wide and an inch deep, and some of these topics you need to be an inch wide and a mile deep to really understand what's going on. It's absolutely insane. And oh yeah, here we go. Alan's got a great description. He says Biden's brain is like a 40-lap cushion beat down.
Yeah, that sums that shit up right there.
It sure does. And Jason's, and I know you've got a question there, Alan. And Jason says this country is in trouble, and to think we have to withstand 3 more years of this BS.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, I mean,
awful.
Yeah, it really is terrible.
It's really awful.
And we just need to try to tread malt water and survive for the next few years.
Hey, let's save the children and ban all guns. That's a whole nother topic conversation that I won't bring up on here, but I'm just saying.
You just did. I mean, it works so well in Chicago.
It does. Every weekend.
Every weekend, yeah. Wow. Yeah. And Alan's like, hell yeah, I got a laugh of the 40-lap cushion deep down. Another Alan has a question. He says, hey guys, a question to Steve. We run a Northeast Mod 602 with the Schaefer's 1540 oil. When temperature reaches about 200 degrees at low RPM, we lose oil PSI to about 20 when cold temperatures are about 40 PSI. Okay. Any need to worry? Engine is new this year.
Probably not. The newest engines this year have got race bearings in them.
Oh.
So the clearances has been changed a little bit, you know, because GM screwed the pooch on that shit last year. I mean, I'd like to see a little bit higher than 40 at idle. I mean, has this been since it was new?
So engine is new this year.
No, I know, but I mean, has it done the same thing since it was new, or is this like a new development? New development.
Okay.
The other thing that I would do would be to potentially replace the gauge.
Oh.
Because I mean, this is one of the most common things that we run across, as far as people complaining about water temperature being too high. Replace the gauge. Oh wow, no, my water temperature ain't too high. Because I mean, all this shit's being made in China right now, I think. So
well, all gauges are made in China.
Well, that's what I'm getting at.
I mean, that's
and they have sucked. I mean, the last 3 years, I'm going to say 9 out of 10 calls that I get where people are running hot, water temperature wise. I'm not talking oil pressure, but water temperature wise, it's been a gauge issue, not an engine issue.
But you know, I think
so. I would certainly check that.
But I think we've seen that as a trend, as we had less supply, and there's a panic to get more supply of anything. The quality has gone down considerably, and I don't care what it is. I don't care what the item is. I mean, I feel good about the racing parts. I mean, the hard parts, the American-made stuff, but just in general. I mean, you know, you guys can concur. I'd love to get your feedback. You know, drop in a comment there to see if you're seeing also the decline in quality.
Yep.
Yeah. And I don't see a response.
I would. I mean, I'm curious. I mean, was it that way from day one, or has it changed?
Yeah, be good to know. Be good to know. Oh, now, I think has it been? I mean, the trial of the century.
Oh, Amber Turd versus Johnny Depp.
Yes, because I was trying to think. Okay, was that between our two shows? I think it was, because I feel like that was pretty remarkable. Yeah, because I think it was
last Friday,
Tuesday or Wednesday, I think. And
was
of course, we would have had the show on. Yeah, because they came back on Monday and then they didn't reach a verdict, and then they came in on Tuesday with they had a question on Monday. And no, I've not been watching it for 8 hours a day, but I catch a lot of YouTube clips and kept up with it the whole time. And I think the right decision was made.
I agree.
Yeah. So it'll be, and Alan on his oil, he says, yeah, it was like that from day one.
Okay. I would probably double check the gauge, because I mean, that's the 602 actually has a higher pressure pump, or higher spring, or higher level spring in it, bypass spring. So I would certainly double check the gauge, because I think you're going to find it's going to be higher than that. I mean, even the stuff that I've checked, you know, the new stuff where we prime them on the engine stand. I mean, we're seeing higher pressure than that, just priming it with a drill.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you're probably going to be higher than that. It's probably the gauge is reading low.
It's good to know. Oh, I also want to put a little plug in here too, because we decided to do something for the month of June, you know, because we live in these times that we live in, and we wanted to bring a little bit of joy. So we're doing a giveaway, and all you have to do to go to the giveaway is just go to our website to CrateInsider.com, and you'll actually see a tab for giveaway.
Mm-hmm.
And there's banners and everything else, and you'll enter your email address. So, you know, your cost of entry is giving us your email address. That's it. And yes, you will join our list, but we do not barrage you.
Don't like junk mail everybody all the time.
No, so. We don't. I mean, my gosh, people still have to write those. And
right,
it's just like, it's just me and Tori. And we got a whole bunch of other stuff we have to do. So, so we do not have time to like spam people or anything. No. You know, you might get a welcome email or something. But that's also how you get informed if you win. So you can try to give us a fake email, but then the fake email person is the one that's going to win.
Tori's got like monkeypox or something right now, right?
Oh my gosh. I told you she was sick today, but I don't think she has monkeypox.
Are we sure?
I don't know. She has an antibiotic now. So
okay, that might cure the monkeypox.
I'm pretty sure.
I'm a little bit concerned about the monkeypox.
You just have a thing about the monkeypox. I don't know about you and monkeypox.
It's the funniest fucking thing I've ever heard of.
You are like attracting monkeypox to yourself at this point, because you're all like, oh, they might have monkeypox, or they might have monkeypox.
Could be a thing.
Yeah. I don't know. I do not know anyone.
I hurt my finger today. I was like, oh my God, is that a monkeypox?
So wrong. Oh, Tori's here and she's laughing. She's laughing, and I don't think she has monkeypox.
We can make her a monkeypox t-shirt too.
Yeah, we could. We could. Yep, I survived the monkeypox.
I survived the monkeypox.
I don't even. I guess. Yeah, I don't think I even took any pictures of the shirts. Yeah, I have to say, so Steve thought it was like kind of stupid that I decided to buy a Cricut, you know, like one of those machines that cuts vinyl, but it's not like to do race cars or anything. It's just to do like cute little craft projects.
So I made my friend, or I didn't make it. Me and she designed it, or me and Kate designed it. So I don't know if I can show that on.
Yeah, you show it on the camera. Right. Yeah, you just lean in. I don't have monkeypox, or maybe I do, is what it says. And it got a little monkey.
That was made for a friend of mine who came back from a cruise and somehow got like, I don't know, it was like Legionnaire's disease.
It wasn't that. It was
whooping cough.
Whooping cough, yeah.
So I like this was like over a year ago. I'm like, oh my God, you got the monkeypox.
Yeah. And
sort of messing with her about that. So I made her husband Kate made her husband this one.
She gave me monkeypox with an arrow pointing down, because that's the kind of friends we are.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, and Tori says, there were some monkeys I got loose after a crash.
But I mean, the reason this started was because she came home with whooping cough.
Because who gets a whooping cough?
Nobody. I mean, it's like non-existent.
It's so rare. Yeah.
Well, I'm like CDC called her, all that shit. But like, she came back from her cruise. Well, she was on some island. She's got a picture with a freaking monkey on her shoulder.
Yeah, like one of those excursions.
It's monkeypox.
Yeah.
But she never realized monkeypox was a real thing.
I didn't.
Whereas I did.
I never knew that was a real thing.
Yes.
Until recently. I'm just like, I'm all pandemicked out right now. So I'm just being honest. Like, I am completely pandemicked out.
So when like the monkeypox thing started, it's like, oh my God, there's 2 cases of monkeypox. And I sent her the news article. I'm like, have you been to Massachusetts? And she's like, I had no idea that was real. I thought you were just fucking with me. I'm like, well, I was fucking with you, but no, it's real.
Well, with that, I just want to circle back to the giveaway. So be sure to, I know it became popular speech, or go back to I know I'm a little embarrassed now.
Jen Psaki
with her show, which does she have a show now where 12 people watch?
Is it called Circle Back?
Circle Back, yeah, probably. Well, enter our giveaway if you haven't already. We're pretty excited. It has a flat air filter base, our Crate Insider flat air filter base, a lid. We have the Walker air filter and the Joe's air cleaner stud, and a t-shirt and a couple of koozies there. So make sure that you get entered, because if somebody's going to win, might as well be you.
Absolutely.
You know, so we'd love that, and feel free to share that. We got a couple of posts out there, but I think I don't really have any other interesting things to say, do you? Kind of wrap it up. We're almost at an hour.
I probably had nothing interesting to say to start with. So,
Steve, you are Steve, and you were an interesting man.
No, I mean,
yeah, like
international man of mystery.
Yeah, there you go with your fresh new shiny haircut.
I did.
Yeah. So you've got your haircut.
It's shiny because of the fucking gray and the white and shit.
Like, yeah, it's your ombre hair. And I decided that I just didn't feel like doing anything with my hair, so I put on a hat because I like my hats anyway. So you get to be white hat today, and I'm black hat.
I probably could have done that too.
All right. Why don't I thank you all for being here? Thank you so much for being part of the show. If you're watching us on the replay, hit that subscribe button or the follow us button on Facebook if it's on there. And if you're just catching us halfway through or want to listen to this as a podcast, you can find us as Racing Insiders Podcast on any of your favorite podcast players. So thanks again, and we will see you all next week.
Later.